Hello everyone, this is Johanna Batman from Shaker Heritage, and I wanted to follow up on our last video about infectious disease among the Shakers with a closer look at some of the common medical practices in the 19th century when Shaker communities were most active. From a professional standpoint, this was the time period where for the first time physicians in the United States needed to be licensed to practice medicine. Prior to this, really anyone who wanted to could call themselves a physician. And even within Shaker communities during this time, generally the physicians and the nurses were simply sisters and brethren who had taken a special interest in the work and not licensed professionals. As I mentioned last week, they would sometimes call in a licensed professional in the case of a very serious illness, injury, such as cancer, broken bones, etc. But there were a couple different what we would call alternative medicines that were very popular, particularly in the early 19th century. And two that do pop up in some journal entries are Thomsonian medicine, named for Samuel Thomson, and the water cure. Now, these two took different approaches to their idea of healing the body. Thomsonian medicine relies on this concept of heat as being the vehicle for healing, and the stomach being sort of the furnace of the body that purges and cleanses. So the treatments were things like prescribing an emetic, like lobelia, which would induce violent vomiting, followed by an injection, also known as an enema, of something like cayenne pepper. This could also be supplemented with teas made of things like rosemary, bitters, brandy infused with herbs, and cherry and peach syrups to help sort of promote the healing after the purging. A little more gentle is the water cure, and this is predicated on the idea of cooling as being the way of healing. And so you think cold showers, plunges into cold pools, or even a very common treatment was soaking a sheet and wrapping the patient in a cold sheet and then swaddling with blankets to promote cooling, but also mental and physical relaxation. So even though these took very different approaches, they were both sort of in opposition to not just professionalization of medicine, but also the sort of heroic medicine that was practiced at the time. So a lot of common medical treatments involved heavy bleeding of patients, but also the prescription of mineral cures, as they were sometimes called, which could be things like zinc or even mercury. And sometimes the cures truly were worse than the disease. But both of these alternative medicines, if we can describe them that way, relied on this idea of nature and also the idea of the body healing itself. So if we get back to this natural state and these natural cures, then the body will heal of its own volition. And also, interestingly, the idea of human perfectibility, of adhering to a particular natural lifestyle and course of treatment as helping promote not just physical health, but also moral health. And this is something that I think might have appealed to some of those Shakers in the 19th century. If you imagine a community of people who are brought together by this idea of creating a utopia on earth, a perfect human society, a heaven on earth, literally. And you introduce this idea of healing through the perfection of the human body and the idea of attaining that perfection, it would be very exciting. And many Shakers did partake of some of these cures. Now, none of this is meant to be an endorsement, just to be clear, of any of the medical treatments from enemas to mercury. So please be safe and continue to practice social distancing. Take care of yourselves. Consult physicians, please, if you are sick. And I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much. Take care.